You called our children a mistake, Nathaniel. Now look who's begging to survive.
This is business, Isabella.
Don't destroy everything we built.
3 years ago, the man I loved left me while I was pregnant with triplets for power and money. I walked away with nothing, except one promise to myself. I would never bow down again. And tonight, in front of the entire world, that promise becomes his worst nightmare. My name is Isabella Carter. Before I share the full story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe if you've ever fought for your family. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. I pushed open the mahogany doors of the boardroom, my heels clicking against marble that cost more than most people's cars. 3 small figures flanked me. Madison adjusting her pearl necklace, Mariah smoothing her silk dress, Miles straightening his tie with the precision of someone far older than his 8 years. Every head in that room turned. Every mouth fell slightly open. The shock on their faces was worth every sleepless night, every rejection, every moment I'd wanted to give up. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 3 years ago, I believed in fairy tales. Standing in the ballroom of the Drake Hotel, champagne flute trembling in my hand, I watched Nathaniel Rhodes drop to one knee in front of Chicago's elite. The string quartet went silent. Camera flashes exploded like stars. "Isabella Carter," he said, his voice carrying across the charity gala. "Will you marry me?" The ring caught the chandelier light, a flawless 3-carat diamond that seemed to hold entire galaxies. I couldn't breathe. This man, this titan of finance who graced magazine covers and moved markets with a phone call, wanted me. The girl who'd eaten ramen for dinner through her MBA, who'd worn the same interview suit to 15 different firms. "Yes," I whispered, then louder, "Yes!" The room erupted. Nathaniel swept me into his arms, and for a moment, I let myself believe I belonged in this world of private jets and penthouse views. His mother's smile never reached her eyes. "How unexpected," she murmured when she air-kissed my cheek. The word tasted like arsenic wrapped in honey. I should have paid attention to the signs, the way conversations stopped when I entered rooms, the careful distance his family maintained at Sunday dinners. His sister's comment about my temporary place in their lives quickly covered with a laugh. But I was 25 and in love. I dismissed the coldness as old money reserve, something I'd crack with time and warmth. I threw myself into learning their world, which fork to use, which designers to wear, how to small talk about yacht clubs I'd never join. Late at night, when Nathaniel took calls in his study, I'd catch fragments through the door. Numbers that made my head spin. Decisions that affected thousands of jobs. The casual cruelty of corporate warfare. "The Koreans are bleeding," he said once, laughing. "We'll gut them for parts by quarter's end." When I asked about it over breakfast, he patted my hand. "Nothing you need to worry about, sweetheart. Just business." Just business. Those 2 words would come to define everything. December in Chicago bites differently when your world is falling apart. I'd spent all afternoon preparing, cooking his favorite meal, chilling the wine he'd brought back from Bordeaux, setting the table with the china his grandmother had passed down. My hand kept drifting to my stomach, still flat, but holding a secret that would change everything. Triplets. The ultrasound tech had checked 3 times, her eyes widening with each pass of the wand. "Congratulations," she'd said, printing out the grainy images. "This is quite rare." Rare. Special. Ours. The front door slammed at 11 p.m. Nathaniel's face was stone, his usual easy confidence replaced by something harder. A deal had gone bad. The sole acquisition he'd been orchestrating for months had collapsed. "Not tonight, Isabella." He headed straight for the bar, pouring 3 fingers of scotch. "I have news." My voice came out smaller than intended. "Good news." He didn't turn around. "I said not tonight. I'm pregnant." The words tumbled out before I could stop them. "With triplets." The glass stopped halfway to his lips. For a heartbeat, the only sound was the wind howling against the windows. Then he set the glass down with deliberate care and pulled out his phone. "Get here now," he said to whoever answered. "Bring the paperwork we discussed. Tonight." My legs felt like water. "Nathaniel?" He finally looked at me then, and what I saw in his eyes made me step back. Not anger, not surprise, just calculation. Like I was a number on a spreadsheet that didn't add up. 3 mixed-race children, he said slowly, as if explaining to a child. "Do you have any idea what that would do to Rhodes Capital's image? To our IPO next year?" The words hit like physical blows. Mixed race, like our children were a PR problem to solve. "They're your children," I whispered. "No." He opened his laptop, fingers flying across keys. "They're your choice. And choices have consequences. The bus to Austin smelled like desperation and diesel. I pressed my face against the window, watching Chicago disappear into frozen darkness, one hand protective over my belly. The envelope with $250,000 felt like it was burning through my purse. I'd torn the check to pieces in front of him, but he'd simply written another. "For the children," he'd said, "since you insist on having them." Pride is expensive when you're pregnant and alone. But I kept those pieces, every last one, in a Ziploc bag. A reminder. Austin hit me with a wall of heat and humidity that made breathing feel like drowning. The apartment I could afford sat in a neighborhood where police sirens sang lullabies and the tap water ran brown on Tuesdays. 400 square feet of stained carpet and rattling windows. "When are you due, honey?" The grocery store clerk's eyes were kind as I counted out quarters for milk and bread. 3 months. I didn't mention it was triplets. Didn't mention that my designer maternity clothes had been sold to pay the deposit on this hellhole. Nobody tells you that pregnancy discrimination is illegal, but happens anyway. "We'll call you," they said at interview after interview, their eyes dropping to my swollen belly. "Just not a good fit right now." I learned to code at the public library, pecking at keyboards between bathroom runs, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, languages that didn't care about my skin color or the rings under my eyes. The librarian, Miss Chen, started saving the quiet computer in the corner for me. "You're here every day," she said once, sliding a sandwich across the desk. "My daughter made extra." I wanted to refuse, but the babies needed more than pride could provide. "Thank you," I whispered, and meant it. The contractions started at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. No car, no insurance worth a damn, just me calling 911 and praying. The paramedic held my hand as they loaded me into the ambulance. "First baby?" he asked. "First 3, I gasped through the pain. His eyes widened, but his grip stayed steady. "You're gonna do great, Mama." Madison came first, screaming her fury at the world. Then Mariah, quiet and watchful. Finally Miles, who looked at me with eyes that seemed to hold answers to questions I hadn't asked yet. "Hello, my loves," I whispered, tears streaming. "I'm your mama, and I promise, we're going to be okay." "Mama, working," Madison would announce, banging her sippy cup on the high chair tray while I debugged code at 3 a.m. The kitchen table became my office, command center, and classroom all in one. The babies learned to crawl between computer cables and stack blocks next to my notebooks filled with algorithms. Learning to code with 3 toddlers is like trying to perform surgery during an earthquake. But poverty is a hell of a motivator. I'd found a niche, the chaos of medical billing that made even seasoned administrators weep. Every rejected claim, every insurance nightmare, every patient who couldn't navigate the system. I saw opportunity where others saw hopelessness. "Why do you work so hard?" my neighbor Rosa asked one evening, bouncing Mariah on her hip while I nursed a laptop that overheated if you looked at it wrong. "Because nobody else will do it for us," I said. The breakthrough came at a food truck, of all places. Evelyn Harper stood in line ahead of me, Hermes bag worth more than my annual rent, ordering street tacos like she belonged there. When my card declined, the freelance payment was late again, she turned around. "Let me," she said, then paused. "Wait, you're the one from the medical billing forum, MedSync?" I nodded, mortified, trying to wrestle Miles back into his stroller. "I've been following your posts. The insurance optimization algorithm?" She paid for my tacos and her own, then gestured to a picnic table. "Talk to me." So I did. Pitched my software while Madison decorated the table with ketchup art and Mariah sang off key. Showed her the prototype on my ancient laptop that took 3 minutes to boot. Evelyn listened, really listened, occasionally steadying my laptop when Miles tried to grab it. "How much do you need?" she asked finally. "Sorry?" "Seed funding. How much?" I named a number that felt astronomical. She laughed, not unkindly. "That won't even cover your server costs. I'm writing you a check for 100,000. You're thinking too small, Isabella." My hands shook as I watched her write those zeros. "Why?" "Because men like my ex-husband have been getting rich off broken systems for too long." She slid the check across the table. "Time for someone who actually gives a damn to take a swing." The Forbes photo shoot felt surreal. They posed us in our actual office. No longer my kitchen, but a real space with windows and employees and a coffee machine that worked. The kids, now 8, had insisted on wearing matching MedSync t-shirts. "Mom, you're doing the fake smile again," Miles said, adjusting his glasses. "Do the real one, the one when you fix a really hard bug." The photographer laughed. "Kid's got a point. Let's try again. The headline read, "From food stamps to Fortune 500, How Isabella Carter is Revolutionizing Healthcare Tech." It was picked up everywhere. CNN, TechCrunch, even international outlets. My phone didn't stop ringing for weeks. That's when Lila called. "Bella, oh my God, I just saw the article. I'm so proud of you." My sister's voice after 4 years of silence. I should have hung up, but loneliness makes you stupid and success makes you generous. Thanks, Lee. I watched the kids through my office window, Madison teaching Mariah a TikTok dance while Miles coded something that would probably revolutionize our entire platform by lunch. "How are you?" "Good. Actually, I'm in tech now too. Marketing. You'll never guess where." My blood chilled before she even said it. "Rhodes Capital. I'm seeing Nathaniel. Small world, right?" I set my coffee down carefully, afraid I'd shatter the mug. "How long?" 2 years. He's different now, Bella. Softer. He asks about you sometimes." "Does he ask about his children?" Silence. Then, "He's not ready for that conversation, but maybe someday." I hung up. Miles appeared in my doorway, holding his laptop. "Mom, I hacked something I shouldn't have." My brilliant, terrifying son. "What did you do?" "I wanted to know about him. Our father." He turned the screen toward me. "Rhodes Capital is failing. He's been making bad investments. Crypto mainly. He's desperate." I stared at the numbers, the leaked emails, the frantic board meetings. The empire Nathaniel had chosen over his children was crumbling. "Are you going to help him?" Miles asked, studying my face with those eyes that missed nothing. "No, baby." I pulled him into a hug. "But we're going to prepare for when he comes asking." The news broke on a Tuesday. Nathaniel Rhodes marries Senator Kayla Monroe in private ceremony. The photo showed them on the Capitol steps, her political smile as sharp as his jawline. A power couple born from mutual desperation. Her campaign needed his money. His company needed her influence. "Mom, you're strangling your stress ball again," Madison said, not looking up from her easel. At 13, she'd inherited my observational skills and her father's sharp tongue. I set the ball down. "Just thinking, baby." "About the man who didn't want us?" Mariah's violin practice stopped. "Because we're going to destroy him, right?" My children. Brilliant, brutal, and utterly unforgiving. "We're going to succeed," I corrected. "There's a difference." The email from Miles's backdoor hack changed everything. Nathaniel wasn't just desperate. He was planning to sabotage MedSync's upcoming merger. Corporate espionage dressed up as competitive business. He'd learned about our AI breakthrough, the one that would render traditional insurance processing obsolete, and decided if he couldn't have it, no one could. "Emergency board meeting," I announced to my executive team. "We're accelerating the timeline." "Isabella, that's impossible. The Global Health Tech Summit is in 3 weeks. Then we have 3 weeks." I pulled up the financial projections. "What's MedSync worth today?" $3.2 billion, give or take. "And Rhodes Capital?" My CFO checked his tablet. $1.3 billion and falling. They've got maybe 6 months before bankruptcy." I smiled, the kind Nathaniel had once called predatory. "Perfect. Start quietly buying shares. Use the shell companies." "We're making a play for Rhodes?" "No." I thought of the torn check, the snow falling as I left Chicago, the way he'd called our children a mistake. "We're ending this story properly." Evelyn called that night. "I heard whispers you're making moves. Need backup?" "Always." "Good, because I just got word Nathaniel's been calling around trying to find dirt on you. He's scared, Isabella. Desperate men do desperate things." I looked at my children doing homework at our kitchen table. The expensive one now, marble and steel, but still where we gathered, where we'd always gathered. "Let him come," I said. "We'll be ready." The Ritz-Carlton's ballroom glittered like a constellation of ambition. Tech titans and healthcare revolutionaries mingled over champagne worth more than minimum wage. I stood backstage watching Nathaniel work the room on the monitors. He looked older, harder, the kind of tired that sleep couldn't fix. "You sure about this, Mom?" Miles adjusted his tie. He'd insisted on wearing the same one from 3 years ago when I'd first brought them to a boardroom. "We could just let him fail on his own. Where's the lesson in that?" I smoothed Madison's hair, straightened Mariah's dress. "Besides, your Aunt Evelyn always says, if you're going to end someone, do it with style," all three chorused, making me laugh despite my nerves. The announcer's voice boomed. "Please welcome our keynote speaker, Isabella Carter, CEO of MedSync Solutions." We walked out as a unit. The applause started strong, then stuttered as people noticed my children. Not hidden backstage, not relegated to a single photo opportunity. Here, with me, where they'd always belonged. I found Nathaniel in the 3rd row. His face went white, then red, then something beyond color entirely. "Thank you," I began, my voice carrying clean and clear. 3 years ago, I stood in a room not unlike this one, believing I'd found my place in this world. I was wrong. My place wasn't given to me by anyone. I built it. We built it. I clicked through slides showing MedSync's growth, our revolutionary AI, the lives we'd changed. But I kept coming back to my children, their contributions, Madison's UI designs that made our interface accessible to elderly patients, Mariah's music therapy integration, Miles's algorithm that had increased processing speed by 400%. Which brings me to today's announcement. I paused, savoring the moment. MedSync Solutions has acquired Rhodes Capital for $1.3 billion, effective immediately. The room exploded. Cameras flashed. Nathaniel stood abruptly, his chair clattering. But I wasn't done. My son Miles will now present our new integrated AI system. Miles took the mic with the confidence of someone who'd been born knowing his worth. As he spoke, breaking down complex code into poetry, I watched his father's face crumble and rebuild itself over and over. We'd won. But victory, I was learning, could taste like ashes if you let it. He found us in the hotel bar afterward. My children tensed, but I touched their shoulders gently. Give us a minute? They left reluctantly, Madison shooting him a look that could have stripped paint. Isabella. He looked broken, this man who'd once moved markets with a gesture. They're beautiful. They always were. He flinched. I know. God, I know. I was racist, cruel, afraid. I sipped my water. Yes. I want to know them. He stopped, started again. I have nothing left to offer except the truth. I was a coward. Am a coward. But they're my children, too. No. The word came out soft but final. You're their biological father, but you haven't earned the right to be their parent. Then let me earn it. I studied him. This man I'd loved, who'd shattered me, who'd given me the greatest gifts of my life by trying to deny them. Nathaniel, you married a senator for her connections. You pursued my sister to get information on me. Lila and I aren't together. Haven't been for months. And Kayla? He laughed bitterly. She's filing for divorce. Turns out I'm bad at pretending to love people for convenience. But excellent at abandoning people you claimed to love. He absorbed that like a physical blow. Yes. We sat in silence. Through the windows, I could see my children with Evelyn, laughing at something on Miles's phone. My real family. My chosen family. Here's what's going to happen, I said finally. You're going to step down from all leadership roles, liquidate your remaining assets, donate 90% to the Rhodes Children's Hospital. Yes, I know the irony. The remaining 10% sets up a trust for the triplets, which they can access at 25 if they choose. And then you disappear. You rebuild yourself, hopefully into someone better. And maybe in a few years, if my children express interest, we can discuss supervised communication. His hands shook as he nodded. It's more than I deserve. Yes, it is. I left him there, walking toward my children, my future, my life built from scratch and love and code written at 3 a.m. Madison grabbed one hand, Mariah the other. Miles walked ahead, already talking to Evelyn about our European expansion. You okay, Mom? Mariah asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. The girl who'd believed in fairy tales was gone, but the woman who'd survived, who'd built an empire from a kitchen table, who'd raised 3 brilliant humans while learning to code, she was more than okay. I'm perfect, baby. Absolutely perfect. Behind us, snow began to fall on New York City, but we were already talking about Amsterdam, about London, about all the places we'd go together. The 4 of us against the world, like it had always been, like it would always be. Some stories end with weddings or reunions or forgiveness wrapped in neat bows. Mine ended with a beginning, messy and uncertain and absolutely ours. After all, the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with your children's laughter echoing through boardrooms that once would have barred you from entry. It's served with success so complete that your former life feels like a fever dream. It's served by living fully and unapologetically on your own terms. And that check I'd torn up, I had it framed. It hangs in my office now, those pieces reassembled behind glass. A reminder that some things can't be bought, sold, or negotiated away. Things like dignity, like love, like the fierce, unbreakable bond between a mother and her 3 miracles who came into the world against all odds and changed everything. The price of silence, I learned, would have been my soul. Thank God, I chose to roar instead.
Never let someone else decide your worth. When life shatters your plans, build your own empire from the pieces. Because the best revenge isn't destruction, it's becoming everything they said you couldn't be. So tell me, what would you do if the person who broke you came back begging?